Hola, New Moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the Afro-Latina goddess of witches. And you are aligned with the frequency of the Lua Nova Podcast Patreon edition. And I do want to let my Patreon members know that the general public will be getting this update and this part of this podcast, as you know. They'll be getting it on Friday, but this is why it's going to seem a little bit off for them, is that you will be getting this episode today, which is July the 13th. Okay, so I'm going to start off with, I would say, the number one thing that has flooded my inbox, which is Love Island. From there, I'm going to give you a bluebird update. As you all know, there's bluebirds that live on the balcony here. And then I have an announcement for all of my NFL fans. Yes, football fans. I think you're going to enjoy what I have coming up for the Patreon. And I think that's all I was going to cover today. I also am going to briefly go over the new update to the Lua Nova website. Okay, so that is everything that I'm going to be covering. Time to grab your refreshments, your drinks. If you're at work, ignore what they're talking about. I know I did. I would sit at my desk and tune everybody out, because as you know, if you worked ever in certain environments where even if you had an office, because back when I sold cars, I had an office and I was still this way. I had to tune everybody out based on the types of frequencies that they were bringing. I was not allowing it into my energy. So I understand that that's why a lot of you listen to my show at work, is that you're trying to escape that, and I don't blame you, and I hope that I can do that for you. And I also want to thank those of you who are not Patreon members who still enjoy getting these previews. I'm glad that I'm able to bring you 2 episodes a week for now. I don't know if I'll always be able to do the Patreon previews. I really enjoy doing them, so I am going to try my hardest to make time, because I have to record a Patreon episode anyway. So it's just kind of like, well, just cut it off here and give it to the general public so that they can get content. But I do update the Patreon often, so I just kind of want to make sure that everybody gets at least a sneak peek, even if they're not a member. All right, so I'm going to grab my refresher that I just made. One sec.
Hold on. Why did nobody tell me Lua Nova was on TikTok? If you've been missing out, you're not alone. Josie may not post her whole life online, but she does keep the official Lua Nova TikTok stories updated. Search Lua Nova Podcast on TikTok and hit follow. Once again, that's Lua Nova Podcast. Check the show notes if you need the spelling.
Want to make these ads disappear? Patreon is the easiest way. Just download the Patreon app, search for the Lua Nova Podcast, and choose the membership that's right for you. For only $2 a month, you will get every episode early and completely ad-free. Or unlock even more with the $5 membership, which includes exclusive Patreon content and the chance to ask Josie your tarot questions. Less waiting, fewer ads, and a few extra perks along the way. Go to the App Store on your device, download Patreon, and join us over on the Lua Nova Patreon.
And Patreon, I know you're not going to really love that I'm going to be giving an in-depth portion of this Patreon episode to the general public, but I really want to wrap up the Love Island talk. I don't want any more messages regarding Love Island, so I figured let me go ahead and wrap up everything that needs to be said today. And although you're getting this episode today on the 13th, and the rest of the audience gets it on Friday, what date will that fall on? Hold on. My mouse is acting up, but you know that I have my laptops in front of me, and the one that I use the most, which is I call the Lua Nova laptop, is very old. And I just refuse to replace it because I already have like the iPad and all that, so I don't really need to replace it. July the 17th is when the general public will be hearing this. But yes, I want to wrap up the Love Island talks. I want to talk about the behavior that I've seen, thankfully not from my listeners. I am so grateful that I have grown adult listeners that, thankfully, people who do tend to want to learn about manifestation and growth and spiritual awareness, spiritual health, and working on their own working on their own mental health, helping others. These are not the types of people who are going to be online going back and forth with people. And I also want you all to keep in mind that there are bots, B-O-T-S, bots, that are literally created to create discourse and to go against certain people on any show, and not just Love Island. This is something I've seen many times. And what I want you to do the next time that you're not 100% sure, look at that person's profile picture. And this is common on TikTok. Go to that person's account, and I promise you 99% of the time it is somebody with a private account with no profile picture, or a profile picture that is definitely not them, less than 100 followers, but they're following thousands. And if their page is public, they never have any posts. They just have a bunch of reposts. And it is a dead giveaway that is a bot. Okay, so unfortunately, there are companies that are paid to push out a lot of negativity and hate. And you see this with politics. This is why I have all things political blocked from my social media. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. And it is one thing to be informed, because although we've had a lot of fun, at least over here we've had a lot of fun talking about Love Island, we still have to remain informed somewhat, right? I'm not telling you to be plugged into the news all day, because that is extremely low vibrational and I don't recommend it, but you do still need to know what's going on, you know? So with all that being said, just keep that in mind, and that you are also dealing with children, that there are children and people under 25 that don't know how to handle their emotions, that have never had real relationships, and their frontal lobe is definitely not developed. They learn words based on what they see on social media and not based on the dictionary whatsoever. The literary crisis is real. I mean, look at Sincere saying epitome instead of epitome. So, I mean, unfortunately, I fear for the younger generations, because I'm thinking to myself, I can't fathom not having a massive vocabulary, or at least using the tools that you have in order to learn. Because you have access to learn anything you want. I quite literally took a Harvard class for the free, and the only thing, no, actually it was $100, because I did actually complete the class and I got the certificate. So simply because I just chose to. It wasn't even something I needed to do. It was based on, for instance, like spirituality and witchcraft. And it was, I don't remember the name of the class, but it was maybe 2 years ago that I took it. And this is what I'm talking about, is there are many people like me who just want to learn. In my craft, obviously, I have to keep learning about spirituality, all types of religions, all types of backgrounds, all types of human beings. This is why Love Island was important, is that human psychology is a big part of what I do. I have been reading tarot for almost 18 years now. And when people hear that, for some reason, it kind of blows their mind. And the number one thing the younger people say was, oh my God, well, how old are you? I was extremely young when I started to learn tarot. Okay. And if you are lucky enough to make it to adulthood and to make it there with the level of knowledge that you need in order to make the right decisions, then that alone is a gift. Okay. And so as a skilled tarot reader who looks up to the best of the best, study the best of the best, and learn my own way of doing things, but also learn to tune into my own intuition, learn how to speak to spirit, learn how to listen to my ancestors, my spirit guides, etc. Shows like Love Island are extremely helpful when I deal with clients, when I deal with my audience, and even when I meet you all face to face in public. You know, it's how I'm able to help you, because a big part of being a tarot reader is that you are helping someone else. You are answering questions that are keeping them up at night. And when I think about this particular cast and how they badly needed an astrologist on this particular cast, and probably the other ones too, I think to myself, I'm so glad that I have the knowledge that I have so that I can continue to help people. Because what I've seen from season 8 was mainly an issue with the producers and not just the cast, you know. So first thing we're going to do, Patreon members, don't get mad. I'm going to go over Love Island. Everything else I'm only going to briefly mention here, and then Patreon, I will make sure that only you get to hear it. Okay. And we're going to starting off with Love Island and the season finale. Yeah, I barely watched 5 minutes of it. I just didn't care. It was boring. I couldn't care less about who won. And I really just wanted to wrap it up. But I also knew that some of you may have questions. And I have answered a lot of those questions already via the last 2 tarot readings I did for Love Island. So I think that what I saw just kind of confirmed everything that I had already mentioned via those readings. And a big part of that being how the producers had already picked who won some time ago. So if you were coming to me and asking me who was going to win, I was not trying to be rude by saying I want you to think logically about why they would choose the winners that they chose and why they would change the voting the way that they did. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter about who's your favorite or who wasn't your favorite. The producers had already decided based on last season and the success of Olandria and Nick. Shout out to Olandria. I am so happy for her. I told you all from the beginning, Olandria was that girl. Immediately, I knew that she did not need Love Island. and she proved me right. I was like, well, I don't need the tarot to see that this one is a star. And I think that they tried to recreate that. And it's really disturbing because I'm just like, why not just let people become famous because of who they are or go on to help your show just based on who they are and not trying to create a particular formula for success, because that's giving corporate. It's giving, it's kind of giving out of touch as well, because the audience is fickle and the audience grows bored quickly. And if you keep trying to give the same formula over and over and over, the kids may not understand that, but the adults already did. So if you want your audience to drop in numbers, keep doing the same boring formula. All right. But I do hope that all of these people continue to grow because they are in their 20s. So I want everybody to give them some grace. They're in their 20s. And if you know anything about that, then you know, whether you are a young millennial or an elder millennial, we are looking at this generation of Gen Z, and a lot of us feel for them, especially because honestly, 50% of my audience is Gen Z, which means the rest of the generations make up the rest. So it is heavy. There's a lot of Gen Z listening to me right now. And because of that, I don't want you to ever feel like I'm ever putting you down, because I know that a lot of you do think logically. A lot of you are older still, like Gen Z. I don't know why people think that they're still in diapers. I think you all are thinking about Generation Beta. But even Gen Alpha is getting up there in age, and I don't mean that they're grown. I mean, they are in middle school. They are, they are not babies anymore, which means Gen Z, they are adults. So let's treat them like adults. And I understand that they grew up with iPads and they did not grow up communicating like we do. They did not grow up learning the skills that we have and that we had to learn. And we learned those skills from Gen X and from boomers. So I want you all to keep that in mind and give them a little bit of grace. A little bit. I think some of the behavior that we saw was completely unacceptable. Trinity calling Casey out of his name repeatedly and nothing being done about that. That made my skin crawl. And if you thought for a second that I was about to be okay with anybody black being torn down on this show, oh, you think again. You're on the wrong podcast. It's not my fault. You know what? Let's sidebar. Because I always have to teach this repeatedly. Afro-Latinos are black. Black people come from all over the world. They are not strictly from Africa and the United States. People like myself that are black, we also had enslaved ancestors. In fact, my ancestors are Afro-Brazilian and the other half is Mexican. The Afro-Brazilian ancestry that I have means that they would have been enslaved for the longest amount of time. Meaning that my connection to my African ancestry is something that I hold dear. My connection to my ancestry in general is something that I hold dear and something that I would never be ashamed of. People that deny their African ancestry make me sick. They make my skin crawl. They disgust me, because why on earth would you ever be ashamed of the blueprint? Why on earth would you ever be ashamed of that? I love that there is a massive amount of people from Africa, which is a continent, by the way, not a country, that tune into this show. and a massive amount of people from Africa that listen to my music, because that means that something about me resonates with my original origin, and that means everything to me. But also, Afro-Brazilians, we do tend to be very proud of our heritage. And it's something that I feel really bad when, I don't know how to word this, but it's sad to watch people not connect with that, and to the disconnect between seeing somebody like Casey on TV and not understanding he's one of your own. So why would you ever attack one of your own? Now, if he had done something like get in Anaya's face and start calling her names, then there would never be, ever be a time that I would defend him. First of all, I don't defend men. I don't know what podcast you think you're on, but I happen to be the child of Santa Muerte, who is the saint of death, and she is female. And when it comes to men, she does not play. And I also happen to be the child of Aphrodite. And guess what? Guess what? My Afro-Brazilian ancestors, and this is in one of my books, so it's right there published. Afro-Brazilian ancestors were the children of Oshun. And if you don't even know who Oshun is, then you and I can't have a conversation, because that tells me a lot that you don't even know your own background. So get the fuck out of here. No, but yes, back to that in particular, that really rubbed me the wrong way, because there was never, if there was an apology from Trinity, we didn't see it. We as the public did not see that. That was not okay. And not even just, this isn't to pick on just Trinity, because Kata, Anaya, this mean girl middle school energy that they were bringing was so gross. And with Melanie, I'm not going to, it might seem like I'm coddling her. I'm definitely not coddling her, because this is a grown woman who keeps making terrible decisions. And as an Afro-Latina to another Afro-Latina, please don't ever in your life get on any form of media and embarrass us again. Please don't do it again. But, and especially to the Dominican population, they feel the same way. I promise. they don't like it. I don't like it. Please stop. You are not representing us well. But I'm not giving Melanie necessarily more grace, but I would say that her reaction that was negative was more towards Soul. And it had a lot to do with her not really knowing what was going on. So I give her a little bit of grace for that. You know, she wasn't aware. And so I can understand that. Now, once she understood everything that was going on and still continued to listen to Sincere's lies, then we were all like, okay, girl, you got it. You can't be saved. But regarding the cast that didn't make it to the end, you know, from Casey and TT, who I really like together, and I hope that they continue to thrive. I like TT. I myself am from the hood, and there's this idea that if you're from the hood, you're supposed to look a certain way, and you're supposed to talk a certain way. And because I am the opposite of that, I grew up with girls like TT, and they were typically good friends of mine. They typically were the people that were looking out for me, because I didn't sound like them, because I didn't have the same background as them. And I think that's why I immediately was like, there's something about her that I like. They just, to me, didn't show this cast at all enough for me to make a strong opinion on anyone. And even when I said I like Parmita, I like that Parmita does not hold back. She does not, whatever it is that she wants to say, and even though I don't always agree with it, like her issue with Kinsey, I think it's time for her to let that go. I'm like, at least somebody is being upfront and honest and is not trying to just fit what the machine wants them to. Cause I don't like that. That's gross. But when it comes to the girls, I don't know what was going on with casting. It's as though they purposely wanted emotionally stunted young women on this show, and it was really sad to watch, because I wanted all of them to make better decisions for themselves and better decisions with how they presented themselves, especially considering that all of them are physically beautiful And being physically beautiful does not give you a pass to mistreat anybody. And also, because you are physically beautiful, I want you to know you are. And I want you to move like somebody who knows that they are, and move with some self-confidence, move with some self-worth, move like you have some decorum. That's what I wanted to see, and I didn't see a lot of that this season. Including, and even though I mentioned I like Parmita, including from Parmita, because that comment about Kenzie, unnecessary as hell. What was that? And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, it was her interview on After Sun. And even her interview, which matched up to what I said in the tarot, about her and Corbin. In the tarot, and Patreon members, relax, I'm not about to tell them what specifically I said, but in the tarot, I already saw what would be happening between these two, and I'm already watching it unfold. And if you have seen how she's responded in interviews, then you already know what I'm talking about without me having to give away how that reading went. As for how the rest of the couples, what I saw for them, it will come into fruition within the next month for most of them. I think that many of you who are rooting for certain couples, I hope that you're ready to be disappointed. And I mean, I'm big on, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I hope you're ready to be disappointed. It doesn't matter who your faves are. Please keep in mind that this is a show. And on top of that, it was a show that has prize money. So some of them might have been looking to maybe meet somebody, but the majority of them knew that this was a show and they just wanted their fame. And shout out to Jen, because I think that how she handled everything after this show went off is amazing. And I liked Jen from the beginning. I liked her. And let me see if there's anything else regarding Love Island, because I've been talking for a minute. Let me see. Let me go down. You know what? Patreon, can I tell them how the reading with Zach and Kata went? At least a little bit. I'm going to give them just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. As Kata continues to grow and begins to look at things from the outside, if you liked her with Zach, I hope you're okay with disappointment. Okay. All right, Patreon members. At least I didn't give too much away. Regarding everyone else, like I said, I don't expect too much regarding the relationships. Regarding their brand deals and things like that, I've talked about all of that on the Patreon. There were some people where I saw that they had a particular way about them. Not necessarily Alondria star power, but a particular way about them that will help them as they move forward in their everyday life. And I definitely see that for, like I said, for people like Sean. I saw that for Soul, mainly based in like modeling and also in her personal life. I think that this has helped her a lot in her personal life and her personal growth. Who else did I mention that stood out to me that likely you all will be surprised that you're going to keep seeing? I would definitely say Caleb and Corbin. And when it comes to the guys, they were my favorite. And I thought that Corbin, from the beginning, when nobody liked Corbin, I thought he was hilarious from the beginning. He was big Virgo energy. It definitely a Virgo. I could see it. But let me see if there's anything else about Love Island, guys, because I'm trying to answer everything that you all had to ask me and wrap it up in a neat little bow. And if there's anything that goes beyond what I want to say here, I can wrap it up on Patreon. But I think I've covered everything. I want to thank every last one of you for being adults and understanding that it's okay if you have a different opinion, but you're never going to disrespect me. You're not going to disrespect my audience. And that if you feel this passionate and upset, I hope that you feel this way about things that actually matter in life and not just TV shows. Okay. It's okay to go outside and hug a tree. It's okay to step away from the television and from social media. I hope that you do in order to continue on your manifestation path. All right. Because this show is about manifestation at the end of the day. And again, my apologies for saying this show is not based in manifesting. Yes, it is. Love Island is heavily based in manifesting if you really pay attention. So the next updates that I have, hold on, I need a sip of my drink. One sec.
Fair warning. Listening to Josie the Mustang may result in spontaneous dancing, singing in the car, and actually believing in yourself. If upbeat manifestation pop sounds like your thing, stream Josie's album Ethereal Pop Alchemist or her new summer EP Summer Solstice. Available now on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, YouTube Music, and everywhere else you stream music.
You know how some coffee shops have a tip jar by the register? Well, consider this the Lua Nova version. If today's episode made you smile, taught you something new, or simply kept you company, you can leave a tip anytime through Cash App. The Cash App username is $Lua Nova Podcast. That's $Lua Nova Podcast. Check the show notes for the spelling. No pressure, just another way to support the show if you feel called to. Now back to Lua Nova.
The next updates that I have, and by the way, something else that I mentioned that only the Patreon heard, that I definitely saw via the tarot, is that based on what happened this season, the Love Island producers, etc., know that they have to change something up. They know that they do, and unless they want to crash and burn their own show. So, because you can easily go from the top to the bottom very quickly based on your own actions. And that's the last thing that I need to say about Love Island. And so any questions about Love Island, my team already knows to just let you all know that they can be answered next year with the new season, but that I have decided to wrap up all of that. I am no longer interested in talking about any of that, but I do wish most of them the best. I say most of them because some of them I'm just like, yikes, you kind of just, I don't think you're pretending to be a terrible person. I think you just are. But the Bluebirds. I have an update about the Bluebirds. I want to go more in depth about it on Patreon only, but as you all know, there's Bluebirds that live, I'm trying to see if they're out there right now, on my balcony, and they raised 5 babies. Those 5 babies grew up. They went on about their life, and the mother and the father still live on the balcony, at least for now. I could have sworn I just saw one of them, but I have somewhat of a sad update, and I'm going to continue to watch and see what's going on, but I know a lot of you do like those updates, and if I can get another picture, I will, of them, so that I can post it to the Patreon. But regarding the NFL, show of hands, how many of you are NFL fans? Now, I know that that's a lot of you. I know that I originally never really gave the NFL much of a chance, based on what I've seen of how the players are treated, and I mean like by the owners of the team, not the public, and just was not too interested in giving them much of my time. And I was wrong because it turned out to be a lot of fun to watch when you give it a chance. And so I have been watching the NFL faithfully for has it been 2 years? It's probably been almost 2 years now. So I've been I'm a new fan, but a fan for at least 2 years. And my team is the Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds. And it might surprise people who know that I was raised in Dallas, that I chose the Philadelphia Eagles. And a big part of that has to do with their love for my home of Brazil. So I appreciate it. I love it. And that was a big deciding factor for me on when it came time for, hey, which team am I going to choose? Also, my entire life, I have never been a Cowboys fan. I don't like the colors. I don't like the logo. The only thing about the Dallas Cowboys that I have ever been even a little bit interested in is the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. I think that they're amazing. I think they're outstanding. I see why they have their own show. They are interesting all by themselves, but everything else that's part of that franchise is a hard no for me. And always has been. I do not care that I was raised in Dallas. I would never be a Cowboys fan. But that was also kind of what made my decision pretty easy for me, is that knowing that there's a rivalry and being like, well, I actually kind of get not being that big of a fan of the Cowboys. So I ended up just kind of naturally becoming an Eagles fan. So they will be, even though I will never be biased when I do my fun tarot readings that will be NFL based. They will be first whenever I go over the teams, but I will never have any sort of bias, okay? Because when it comes to tarot, you really can't be biased. I mean, you could lie in the readings if you wanted to, but it's almost difficult to do if you really know what you're doing, because essentially, let's say I get the Tower card. It's kind of hard to to get the Tower card, and let's say that the question are the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, and I get the Tower card. Well, it would be really difficult to twist and turn that into something positive. The only way that I would probably say that would be positive is, hey, well, maybe next year, guys, but I don't see it being this year at all. I see there being some issues going on internally with this team. That's how that reading would go. But, so I will be honest with you all, but starting at the beginning of the NFL season, I will be doing tarot readings related to the NFL. So you get to hear about all of your favorite teams. And whenever those episodes go up, because I won't be basing it on just your questions, I'll be basing it on just general things that people are going to ask me, such as, how's this team going to do this season? Let me see. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Let me think. What else? Who's going to have scandals this season? Things like that are what I'm going to be answering. Okay. And that should be a lot of fun, because now that we're moving away from Love Island, I needed something to replace it with. And so I thought, the NFL is the perfect, segue. I didn't do this with the World Cup because I kind of already saw how the World Cup was going to go. And it's hard for me to not be biased, being half Mexican and half Brazilian. I was like, it'd be extremely hard for me to not be biased. So I didn't want to even try. Okay. And also there would be certain teams that I refuse to do a reading about. So it's very different than the NFL, where even the Cowboys will be getting a fair reading from me. Your fans, Cowboys fans, you don't have to worry. You're getting a fair reading. All right. So if you're part of the Patreon, you will get to hear those readings. And in the comments, you know how if you're on Patreon, you see the audio and you get to leave a comment right under it. You get to ask me questions maybe that will go into the next NFL related tarot readings. Okay. This is going to be fun. Let's keep it lighthearted. There will be no attacking of other teams. It's one thing to have a rivalry. It's another thing when it starts getting racist or misogynist or anything like that, then you will be blocked. Just know that right now. Just like with Love Island, you all kept it cute. I appreciate that. Let's do the same thing with the NFL. All right. Let's not get that passionate. You do not own these teams. You don't work on these teams. And even if you do, you will not be bringing that negativity over into my realm. All right. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say. Oh gosh, the website. Hold on, because I want to pull the website up.
Lua Nova presents Voices of the New Moon. I'm your host, Venus, and for the next few minutes, we're borrowing Josie the Mustang from her own podcast. Lucky us. Today's mission? Getting all the details on the mysterious place known as the Lua Nova Patreon. Please welcome the woman behind Lua Nova, the summer glow-up queen, our favorite Virgo, Josie the Mustang.
Hey, Venus, thank you for having me back on your show.
No, Josie, thank you for stopping by. It's nice to have you on this side of the microphone for a change. Let's get right to it. So, I've heard whispers that your Patreon has 2 membership tiers, $2 and $5. Is that right? That's such a good deal. What do listeners get for that?
That's right. The whispers are true. The 2 tiers are either $2 or $5. And thank you. I think it's a really good deal too. So the $2 tier, they get access to all of the episodes of Lua Nova early and ad free. So as you know, the show comes out every Monday, but Patreon members get to listen to the episode either Friday or Saturday, depending on when my team uploads it, and they never have to hear any ads whatsoever. And so they get access to that. They also get to interact with each other on the Patreon, and there are chat rooms that are especially set up for both the $2 and the $5 tier. And under the $5 tier, they not only get access to ad-free episodes, but actually everybody gets to also order my ebooks, and they get to keep them. But the $5 tier gets access to channeled messages that I did just for them. They get access to behind the scenes episodes, or for instance, after show episodes that I only did for the $5 tier. They also get access to something called the audio spell book. And they get things like the journal prompts and affirmations that I've done numerous times on here. And for those of us who have lost a pet, they get access to the pet memorial as well as the chat room for grief when it comes to your pets. So both tiers do get quite a bit of access, and I recommend starting off with the $2 tier, but both are a great deal. So yeah, that's it.
Girl, no wonder everyone is joining. That's a steal. I know you have to get back to Lua Nova, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Venus.
And thank you, New Moons, for spending a few extra minutes with us here on Voices of the New Moon. Want all the perks without hearing this little commercial break? Then Patreon is the place to be. Join the official Lua Nova Patreon by downloading the Patreon app or by going to patreon.com/the Lua Nova podcast. The link is in the show notes. Now back to the magic.
All right, my Patreon New Moons, this is where we're going to be moving the rest of the conversation over to Patreon only, because we're going to be discussing Neptune's retrograde. We're also going to be discussing the NFL ratings that I just talked about. I'm going to go a little more in depth about what I mean by that. And then I'm going to go in depth about the website and how the Lua Nova website has a completely new revamp. It has been completely redesigned. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And it is much easier to navigate. So I'm actually going to be going over that with you all, because I kind of need to wrap this up, but Patreon, no worries. I will not rush the rest of the episode. I just kind of want to let you all know. So Patreon members, let's head on over to Patreon only. Well, I just realized you're already hearing this. General public, the Patreon members, we are all going back over to Patreon only right now. I want to thank you all for listening to this Patreon preview. Thank you so much for enjoying the previews, and I hope that I gave you a little more in depth of a little more than I normally would for the previews. And I will say on Patreon, I don't hold back on what it is I want to say. I like that I can just say whatever, and we can just have an open discussion without it having to be biased, or without me having to hold back on what I really want to say, things of that nature. So that is why I prefer to be over on the Patreon. And also, as you can hear, whenever you listen to my podcast, you might hear one ad play at the beginning of the episode. And I mean the ones that are the automatic ads, not the Lua Nova ads. And that's not enough to sustain my brand. I am not really happy with that. And so this is why I am heavily pushing for my Patreon, is that I have an entire media brand now that I'm running, and have been running for 3 years, and that takes money. And I appreciate every single one of you that has contributed, even if you just shared the show, even if you just stayed to the end and listened to every single ad. Every single part of that helps, okay? Because I've been doing this since 2023 now. I'm going to keep it going. I love talking to you all about manifestation. I love teaching you about manifestation. I just taught you all about the list, the 100 manifestation list. I'm going to continue to look up new things to talk to you about. I'm going to give you an update on how that list went for me, but probably, I think I said at the end of the season is when I'll likely have an update, but that's all going to continue. Okay. So all of that will always be free. I don't want you to feel like, well, the show's going away except for Patreon. No, the show's going to have a ton of ads, because I can't just sit back and allow one ad to play and only make a few cents when I have a team and a whole brand to run. Okay. But thank you anyway for understanding that. And there goes one of the bluebirds. It just flew off of the balcony. And Patreon, we will continue this discussion in just a moment.
Here's a fun fact about Lua Nova. The person behind this podcast probably isn't what you would expect. Josie is a practicing witch and has been a tarot reader for several years. But if you're expecting the typical witchy aesthetic, think again. For instance, her favorite color is pink. She's been collecting Hello Kitty since she was a child. And she's built Lua Nova around the idea that spirituality doesn't have to fit inside a single box. Josie is Afro-Brazilian and Mexican-American, and the name Lua Nova, Portuguese for new moon, is both a nod to her heritage and to the moon's importance in her spiritual practice. She creates popular manifestation music, which is available on major platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. She's written ebooks on manifestation and personal growth. And most of the work that goes into her podcast, music, and ebooks are all done by her. If there's one thing you will immediately notice about Lua Nova, it's that this isn't about selling expensive courses or telling you there's only one right way to be spiritual. It's about manifestation, an improved self-concept, trusting your intuition, and creating a life that feels peaceful. If you would rather listen to Lua Nova without these ads, you can join the Patreon for just $2 a month. Go to patreon.com/The Lua Nova Podcast or download the Patreon app and search for The Lua Nova Podcast. The link for the Patreon is in the show notes. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
Putting out the new moons for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. There are brand new episodes of Lua Nova every single Monday. Anytime that there are bonus episodes, they are typically on Fridays. I did mention, I don't remember which episode now, that I originally was doing the collective readings for all 12 zodiac signs on Mondays and Tuesdays. But after discussing this with my team, we decided let's just knock out all 12 signs on one day so that my listeners know to listen to the show on Monday and Friday. Okay. So I don't want to confuse anybody. I didn't like that was causing some confusion, and also that it was causing a little too much work for my team. So let's just make it streamlined and easy for everybody and put those collective tarot readings on Mondays only. And as you all know, the collective tarot readings are, every time I'm not teaching manifestation, I'm jumping into the readings, okay? And sometimes the readings will not be zodiac related. Sometimes they will just be pick a card related, or for instance, you all know for the fall, I do the pick a drink. So pumpkin spice, etc. Things of that nature, okay? So those are the type of readings that will be coming up for the rest of the season. And I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to wrap up the show with. Patreon members, let's head on over there. And I think everyone else, I think I've covered everything. So I will talk to you on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Please be safe. Be kind to yourself. Stop interacting with these bots and femcells and incels. Please stop. Please stop. Your mental health and your manifestations need you to know when to tune out the negative nonsense, okay? Let's all take a deep breath in. And exhale the bullshit. All right, new moons, I'll talk to you Monday. Patreon, let's head on over there. Ciao, ciao.